Welcome to a special episode of Dad Rules, but aren't they always special?
Every single one.
As we were testing the microphones earlier, I had the microphone up blocking the E, so it said Dad's Rules. I got the Dad Rules.
Dad Rules.
I'm the very special episode of Dad Rules.
Very, very special.
That's very, very special. It's like, I'm very, very special.
Well, you are very, very special.
What a long, arduous last few days it has been. In the world of real estate, because I know you all want to know, I had the lender from hell. I think is the best way to describe it. Imagine being a buyer and being told over and over again, yeah, that's all we need. And then they keep coming back to you over and over again for weeks on end. Yeah, we want you to now come in with this paperwork and that paperwork. Is this really it? Yeah, that's really it. Oh, wait, we need something else. Like the last time that he was on speaking terms with me, the lender, not the buyer, because the buyer's happy.
Yeah.
But the last time that the lender was on speaking terms with me, he called and he said he needs some document. And I go, okay, now is this really it? Because you guys keep asking for more stuff. Is this really it? Yeah, that's it. Nope, it wasn't it. Less than 20 minutes later, they asked for 2 more pieces of paper and then proceeded for the whole next week to continue asking for stuff.
Yeah.
There at the end, he stopped communicating with me entirely. I had to get updates from the buyer. Couldn't update the listing agent without talking to the buyer, who was getting updates from the lender sporadically.
Wait, you had to get updates from the buyer?
Uh-huh. That's not how it's supposed to work at all.
No.
And I had to explain to the buyer.
Oh my gosh.
I explained to the buyer that this is not how it's supposed to work at all. You should be focusing on packing and everything else. And I mean, that's so stupid. The house is $455,000. The buyers make well over $250,000. It's like a no-brainer. They have great credit.
Yeah.
They're months and months ahead on car payments. It's like everything you look at and you're like, why are you torturing this buyer?
Yeah, why?
I don't know.
Whew. That was rough.
I think the funniest part in the whole transaction was probably about 2-3 weeks in. I asked for an update and he doesn't give me an update at all. But he did, within minutes after asking for an update that I, by the way, never got, he did start following me on Instagram.
Oh.
And I did say to the buyer, I go, well, I can't get an update from the lender, but I did gain a new follower. At some point, you just had to laugh because it was so stupid.
That's funny.
So anyway, this afternoon, finally got to give him keys to his home. Oh, thank you, baby Jesus, for that.
That was good.
Wow. So we were talking the other day at Bible study of struggles that we went through years ago. And some of them, until we were talking about that day, I kind of like forgot how many bad things happened at one time.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. So in 1 year span, this is going back to 2000. It's going back to like 2000. We'll just say 2000 because it's been a lifetime ago. But it was around the year 2000. I had proceeded to get fired from my job, which was a weird fire in and of itself because it was more of a, here, you're not really fired, but we're going to transfer you to a store that is like an hour drive one way. So they did it so they didn't have to pay me unemployment.
That was 2002 then when I was pregnant with Xander, right?
Sure, we'll go with that.
Okay. That was the one where you left and then came back home?
Yeah.
That was 2002.
Okay.
June of 2002.
Okay, well, it's 22 years ago, so it's like it's not yesterday.
No.
But when they brought that up the other day, it started bringing back all these memories. And I remember that I didn't actually get fired. I think I'd said I got fired, but I didn't get fired. What happened is they said, well, we'll transfer you to this store, which in and of itself, not a big deal. I'm like, I could drive.
Sure.
However, they knew that I personally did not like...
Had a problem with the manager.
Yeah, the manager was an asshole.
Who was a former driver, and they never got along, not for 1 minute.
Because the guy was freaking crazy. Yeah. He was like in a cult. And I'm like not kidding. He was legit in a cult. And I'm like, this guy is freaking nuts.
Well, and he had it out for you too. He would have had it out for you. He would have made it a living nightmare for you to work there. It wouldn't have been fun. You'd have quit eventually.
Well, he would have had me drive an hour to go there, and I would have been the first one to be sent home
Exactly.
like an hour later.
I'm saying it would have been a nightmare for you. It wouldn't have been worth it.
Yeah. So it just would have been a train wreck. So got fired. Struggled finding a job, which at the time we lived barely check to check.
Yeah.
But struggled to find a job. So next thing you know, we're filing for BK, for bankruptcy.
After a year of trying to do all the things, it just got to be a little bit farther and farther behind. Or 9 months, it got to be a little bit farther and farther behind.
Well, yeah, because even once I found a job, it was...
impossible to catch up that income.
Right. Yeah, because initially I tried to get a job in the same field.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I was getting a bad reference.
Probably.
And,
who knows?
Yeah, so there was that. Filed for BK. There was something else I brought up the other day that was really weird that happened all at the same time. We had the baby, but that wasn't all of it.
You're talking about how I saw the job. You mentioned
No.
that.
I'm talking about the bad stuff first.
Well, there was other stuff you mentioned, but that was like 1996.
No, but it was all like in a window of time, like in a 1 year span.
Well, the home got foreclosed too, though. Eventually, we were trying to do bankruptcy, but it counted as both for some reason.
Yeah, they
dinked us twice. I don't know. Yeah, so and there was I don't know. We weren't versed enough to fix it or try to see if it could be fixed at the time. I don't know, whatever. So wouldn't recommend it.
No.
Wouldn't recommend it.
But it was like a whole year stretch of just bad stuff. Like the next place we moved into was a nightmare of a place where we move in and it had fleas.
Oh God, because of the animals that kept getting into the basement. Somehow they were getting in like what was the big furry
raccoons?
Oh yeah, it was raccoons.
Yeah,
I kept thinking raccoons.
Twice
yeah.
it was raccoons.
I came downstairs with a dead raccoon. Granted, it was a cave of a basement. 2 times.
2 times we had dead raccoons in the basement.
Called the landlord. Got another one in the basement. So he'd have to send I don't remember if he came out. And then it was just fleas crawling up me when I would go down there.
Yeah, so the place ended up having fleas.
So bad.
We ended up having to move because it was such a nightmare. And they refused to give us our deposit back. So then you're scrambling. You're behind the 8 ball yet again.
Yeah.
So we move into the
old house down.
Yeah,
south.
the old house that was behind. No, we're still in town. We moved into the house behind the 7-Eleven after that.
Oh, okay. I just have it mixed. Okay. That's
I don't know.
true.
But anyway, they were all within like a year span.
Yeah.
They started to blur together. But anyway, we ended up in that one. We had yet another train wreck of a landlord. And then we ended up deciding to, we moved into that house. I was working at the courier company. Yeah, we lived on Indiana. I was working at the courier company. And it's weird. Didn't know at the time, but it was like setting the groundwork for things turning around.
For sure.
But we didn't know it. And we didn't know that groundwork being set up was going to lead to us moving out of state. So we worked there for, 3 years? Yeah, 3 years.
Probably, yeah.
Worked there for 3 years. And we somehow made ends meet.
No, it wasn't 3 years because it'd be 02. We moved here in 04. So no.
Yeah, but I think I started there in like 01. But anyway, it was around 3 years.
Oh, you had 2 jobs. That's why.
Yeah.
You just went there full time.
Yeah, worked there.
Something.
And it's kind of
blurry,
unimportant, but it was a lot of driving and all that. But we ended up deciding to move to Arizona. And the reason being is that I was driving in Chicago one day, 5 lanes of traffic. There's nobody else on the road. It's 5 lanes, but no traffic, which is unheard of in Chicago. But the weather was so bad. It was so cold outside that you could barely feel your face. And I called you on the phone and I said, I'm done. We're leaving. And we ended up around that time that we wound down living at that home. You moved to Arizona ahead of me. And I wound down the job because they just got a new contract and I couldn't just bail on them.
Right.
And so I stayed until October, quit the job, raced out of town with sleet and rain following behind me as I'm heading south to go to Arizona. So that was fun. But, and then also no job lined up in Arizona.
Not specifically. He was willing to do something here, but it didn't work out.
And you're probably wondering, why are you saying all this? It's like, it's like there was this bad period where all this stuff was happening, yet it was all setting up something good down the line. Because through all that, through the BK and everything else, one thing is we did get to where our debt was non-existent. We moved from Chicago, Northwest Indiana area because the income was just capped out. And it just wasn't a lot. It was $30,000.
Yeah.
And living up there is just not, you're never going to get ahead.
No.
I was willing to quit and go to Arizona with no job lined up. $1,100 in the bank. That was it.
Yeah.
By the time I got to Arizona, there was a little bit more before I got to Arizona, but hotel, gas, everything else. Get to Arizona, no job lined up, and ended up getting applied for 2 different jobs. Got hired by both of them on the same day. Both of those jobs, one was in the day and one was at night. So I was like, well, I'll just work both and figure out which one I like better, and then I'll just quit the other one. Fast forward 3.5 years later, and I'm still working both of them. But again, we have no debt. We had a little bit of money in the bank. And one of my coworkers was out for hernia surgery. And when he came back, he told me about this real estate opportunity and said, you need to apply and all that. So I read their whole spiel, and they promised to pay you back, get bonuses, all this stuff, all this bullshit that never ended up happening. But it did open the door to where I got into real estate.
Yeah.
And now you go fast forward from that time, which was 2008 to 2024, my income is now
much better than what we could have hoped for at any point.
It's more than 10x what it was when we lived in Chicago. And the whole point of all this is that I know that there's people listening that you're going through a struggle now. You're going through where the money doesn't math at all. And believe me, I still have times like that now because I love to, for some reason, torture my wife and overextend myself on remodel projects and new listings and everything else that literally suck all the money out of us. But doing this has given us the opportunity of, we do have newer vehicles. We do have a home that we are not renting, that we own, and we do have stuff. And whatever you're going through, whatever your struggle is today, understand that if you just keep moving forward and try to progress forward, fail forward, pay off that little bit at a time if that's all you can afford. Work towards whatever career goal you have, whether it's, I got real estate agents, people in the trades that listen to this. Keep progressing in whatever that field is and fine-tune your craft, that eventually it will get better as long as you don't quit. Because I did have the opportunity back then to where I could have just said, I'm just going to keep staying in day job of courier, night job of pizza.
That can't go on forever.
And the reality was I was making right at $100,000 doing both. But I literally had no life. I had no sleep. It was eventually going to kill me.
Yeah.
Because that's just too much. You can only do that for so long.
Well, and I was very pregnant when we moved here. So, I mean, Target hired me, but then he was born early. NICU baby, expensive. Had to stay home with them because he's a NICU baby.
Yeah, and both jobs called me while we were at the hospital going through all that. And I had to tell both of them, I'm like, I can start, but right now we're waiting on a delivery.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah. And again, we were down to $1,100 in the bank, but I was willing to take the risk, which maybe that's what some of you people need to do, is go, what I'm doing is not working. I saw that $33,000 a year was never, ever going to get me the lifestyle I wanted, period.
Well, and even if you discount lifestyle, that was not going to be able to sustain us
it would not allow to now where one of my children is going through college and I could pay for it. One of my kids needed a car and I could pay for it. It would not have allowed those kind of opportunities at all. It just isn't possible. Period.
Yeah, no, for real.
There's just no way. Or there's no way that we could jump on a plane every year and go see friends in another state, because you'd always be penny pinching.
Right.
Or go off on a whim and do a $2,500 photo shoot in Massachusetts, plus flights, plus, you know, to do it just because, well, this is the cover I want for it. Whether it ever comes back and repays me is irrelevant. This is my vision.
Right.
So that's kind of my rant, I guess, for the day. This is what's been on my brain. There is no card. There is no nothing else. It was strictly that I just wanted to get this out there and get people to put on the brain that I understand we are all going through stuff. We all may not like where we are, but just keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep progressing. And don't stay in the rut that you're in. If you're in a rut, recognize the rut and take the corrective action necessary in order to get towards the life that you're really wanting. And with that cough, I think we're done. Melissa barely has a voice. A couple days ago, or all last night, just coughing all last night. Yeah, good times.
And it comes on all of a sudden. I just finished my cough drop. That's why. Sorry.
All right, we're gonna end the episode on a coughing fit. So until next time, like, share, leave feedback, comments, blah blah blah. Go to dadsrealswag.com, pick up some cool kick-ass shirts, and until next time, go out and be the kick-ass adult I know you all can be.